Look at me, I'm Sandra Day. Thought I'd film this video right after I practiced my Sandy makeup for Halloween. What do we think? Hey guys, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. Oh my god, every time I go to talk about a tough topic, I start to freak out a little bit. That's okay, we're gonna go through this because I know if I had watched a video like this whilst going through what I've been through mentally, I'd feel a lot more supported and maybe it might have even improved my mental state. I'm doing this video because I think it's really important that in today's day and age we talk about mental health because it's something that's been frowned upon and definitely something that's been criticized, and also I feel kind of not pushed to the side, but made to seem like something not as bad as it actually is. It's like a really serious issue and I really just wanted to talk about it. I've been putting off filming this video for a little while now, but I'm here to do it, so let's talk mental health. I've made a couple of notes on my phone and I'm just going to start off talking about my journey with my mental health and the experiences I've been through that impacted my mental health. So going back to primary school, so I finished year 12 last year, which was my last year of school, and that meant that I was in primary school almost 6 years ago now. Quite a while ago. I would say that my issues started around year 5. I think it was after year 4 or maybe even year 3. My best friend left and moved to Melbourne. At the time I didn't really have anybody else and that meant that I had to make new friends when she had gone. And so I think even as like a kid, I didn't realize at the time how much like her leaving hurt me and how it impacted me so drastically. She left and then I went into year 5 and basically I was bullied. I'm not gonna name any names, I'm not gonna shame anyone because obviously we were all young and immature and didn't really know any better, and that's just what kids do. Kids pick on each other, unfortunately. It's really sad, but that's just what people do. So I was in year 5, so I was about 10, I think I was 10. Just slowly this like bullying started. I was called some awful names and really isolated and pushed to the side. I really didn't have any friends in year 5. And then we went into year 6 and that was when we had like joined year level classes. So it was year 6 and 7s in one class and there was about 2 classes of year 6s and 7s combined. So I made friends with the older kids. I made friends with some lovely girls who I actually didn't talk to after primary school because social media wasn't really a thing and I didn't really have a phone or anything. We just didn't keep in contact, but they were really lovely and they welcomed me into their little group and they were friendly with me. I did feel like the odd one out, but they were so nice to hang around and I knew they weren't going to be horrible to me, so I wanted to stick with them. That year, I think year 6 wasn't as bad, but I just still remember getting picked on by numerous people. It wasn't even just like one person or one group. I got picked on by numerous people. If people have known me my whole life, you would know that I'm quite a loud, happy, upbeat person. Being called loud as a kid was actually really horrible. Like, I didn't like that title. Now I kind of embrace it and I'm like, yeah, if that's the way you view me, whatever. I preach, like, it doesn't, like, what people say about me says more about them than it does about me. But when I was that young, so I was 11, I didn't like being called loud. I was kind of just more confident than the other kids, which was weird because I was picked on and I was seen as kind of this outsider. Like, I didn't really fit in with everybody else. So through year 6, I was really happy hanging out with these older kids. I also realized that when I was on my own, I was really, really sad. Really sad. I was just sad on my own, but like other people made me happy, so I kind of just thought that was the way it was. Like, I'm not going to feel as good on my own as I would with other people. And then it got to year 7, which meant I was graduating. It was my final year of primary school and I was really going to embrace my last year. I was going to try and not worry about it, like how I was picked on and stuff, but it kind of peaked in year 7 and because the older kids had left and suddenly I was the older kid and I didn't have really many friends, if any, like regular friends who I could always count on. Like, I always just felt like I was intruding on other people's groups. So yeah, because of this, I wouldn't really say like I didn't come away from primary school with like one friend who I could call my friend. In year 7, the bullying definitely peaked for me. Yeah, I was called some horrible names, which I'm not really going to repeat, but I was told to go kill myself, by multiple people. I was told that they wished I was dead. It would be better if I was dead, that they would come to my house and kill me. That was horrible, and like obviously now I realize that none of those things were gonna happen, but at the time like I felt that like they were genuine threats, and I felt it would be better if I was dead. Like I shouldn't be around because I'm annoying people and I'm not who is there telling me good things? No one was there telling me good things about myself. I really didn't have many people to support me. My parents had gone to the school a few times and complained, but nothing was really done by the teachers because these things were kind of done off to the side, away from teachers' eyes, and yeah, there's really not a lot that they can do in those kind of situations except preach the like no tolerance for bullying. But I did have my PE teacher was the most amazing man I've ever met. He was fantastic, very supportive, very kind, and every time I would go to him he would make me feel better. So much so that we had like little gymnastics competitions in primary school, and he actually purposely didn't put my group into the final because he knew I was going through stuff and he knew that I might not be able to handle it and being in that kind of attention. Yeah, let's just say my primary school experience was pretty shit. I was more than happy to get out of there and also kind of just go into a place where people didn't have these preconceived ideas of who I was. They didn't have an opinion of me, and I could kind of rewrite who I was. Not change me, but they wouldn't look at me for what's already happened to me in the past. Now, because of all of these things in primary school, yeah, I was not feeling good. I would say year 5 it started. Year 6 it was more developing, and by year 7 I was definitely depressed, and not just like had a shitty day, I was genuinely depressed. There was this one day, the day where the bullying peaked for me. I came home and I actually collapsed on the ground. I remember just looking up at my ceiling and everything was spinning, and I collapsed on the ground. I was just like, I just remember like feeling like so out of, oh my god. I remember feeling so out of my body, and I just wasn't like living. I'm gonna cry. Yeah, I don't know how long I was like on the ground, but I just remember after I got up I went straight to sleep. But that for me, like I knew something was wrong then. Like I wasn't okay. And that's the thing, like people don't realize, like depression, when you're really depressed, like truly, it doesn't just like consume your mind and you don't just feel shit. Like physically there are side effects. Physically your body can't take it. Things haven't always been great at home. I've definitely had some clashes with some family members, and that did impact me too. At one stage in year 7, that was a massive part. I hated it, but like I love my family with all my heart, and like these are just things you have to go through as you're growing up. You're not always going to get along with everybody, but that on top of everything that I was dealing with most days at school, and the isolation as well, like it's just all these little things that kind of add up. It's not even just consistently being picked on, it's more like being isolated, knowing that you don't have anyone that you can count on, and then you get the teasing, and then you get all these other issues, and that just all adds up. And yeah, I really couldn't handle it. Then I moved to high school, and I went to a completely different high school to where everyone from my primary school went, and I was really happy to be going to this school. It was a fantastic school, and to this day, like, I love my high school. There are bits about high school in general which I don't like, but that's just like a general thing. I just don't like school. But my high school was fantastic, the teachers were fantastic, and don't get me wrong, I had some amazing teachers who I will always hold close to my heart from primary school, but as a whole, high school was so much better for me. With that being said, it's not like there was no being picked on in high school, but there was definitely much less of it. So then in high school, because there was less of this being picked on and I had all this mental torment from being younger, from primary school, I then started to internalize my sadness, and I started picking on things about myself because of all this torment previously that I got from other people that had shot me down so much. I was at such a low that I didn't believe in myself. I hated myself for a while. I hated being that, you know, confident, extroverted girl. I just hated so many aspects about my personality which have never changed, but I've changed my view about them. So yeah, then it started to become a like self-conflicting thing. Throughout year 8 and year 9, into year 10, I would have classed myself as depressed. I hated life. Obviously there are reasons as to why I felt that way, but I feel like I can't explain why those feelings continued even after the torment stopped. I've had changing groups of friends through high school, but I've always had people I felt like I could count on. It was all me. It was my fault. It was my fault that I felt that way. No one else was making me feel that way. It was just me. That was when the self-loathing, I guess, was at its highest. And then through to year 10, that was when I felt like I had been, not cured, but I'd seen quite a few psychologists. I'd seen at least 3 psychologists, I want to say, and all of them I just, they were lovely people, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't like it. I didn't like the whole psychology thing. Personally, I don't think it works. My view, if I was to talk about it with somebody else, from my experience, it would be that you are the one who has to do the work. If this is the kind of thing you're dealing with, this self-loathing. I saw these psychologists and basically they just got me to talk, and I didn't want to talk about it. I knew what was wrong. I knew why I was sad, and I felt like I was being belittled. They talked to you in this really kind of, what's the word? I don't know, I can't think of it right now, but they just talked to you in this tone that was just very, made you feel like you were 5. I just didn't like it. I was like, can you just talk to me like a normal person, please? I'm not silly. I just want to be spoken to normally. Seriously, all 3 of them just gave me breathing exercises, and I was like, cool. When I'm in bed crying at night, I'm just gonna think about my stomach being a balloon. Yeah. If that works for some people, great, but for me it didn't. I think I just kind of stopped seeing psychologists for a while and just worked a lot on mentally how I was feeling about myself, started doing more things for me, and started finding my kind of groove and accepting me for me. And then I would say it obviously helped with having extremely supportive people in my life, and you guys know who you are. Towards the middle of year 10, I made a status basically saying I'm no longer depressed, and I also, in that status, I opened up and I said how I had been depressed. I told people, because I hadn't really been that open with it. Obviously my friends knew, but not generally. People didn't know. After I made that status, I had so many people comment, so many people message me and say Sarah, I had no idea, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Oh man, people can be so nice. I felt so supported, and I was like, I guess I just wish I had that when I was feeling at my lowest. But it was really nice to have that kind of recognition from people, and for them to say I think you're great, that. It meant a lot to me, because obviously what had made me so sad was people telling me the exact opposite of that. That's a kind of overview of what I have been through, generally. Obviously there's a lot more details to each of those sections of my life, but that's generally how I've been affected. So I just want to talk a bit now about how I felt, and then what got me out of it and how I feel now. So I think at the time I felt really low. Obviously, I felt basically nothing could make it better. Nothing could make me happy. No one was gonna love me. My friends were lying to me that they didn't actually like me. I still to this day have trust issues with people, because I just feel like they're lying to me. Yeah, and I think all of those feelings combined gave me a lot of anxiety, which I still have. I didn't like talking to new people. I still don't like talking to new people. There's a lot that gives me anxiety today, but that's a whole other topic. Because of this fear that everyone was judging me all the time, because I did at one point in my life have everyone judging me and everyone saying horrible things about me. The anxiety that was left behind from that, and that I still have today, it's slowly, as I'm growing, it's going away. But I still definitely have parts of that there. So that's how much it affected me as a kid. And at the time, when you're that young, you're growing up and you're shaping into the person that you're gonna be now. While going through that, and such negative things being so impactful, is that a word? Yeah. Impacting me so heavily, that was just really detrimental to me growing up, into my views of the world and myself. At the time, I don't think I realized how much that affected me, and how much that bullying and that torment within myself and from other people was going to affect me later on. And those things caused me to have such doubt about myself and hate myself, and yeah, so like it was kind of just like a chain of events. What got me out of it was finding my passions, finding my hobbies. So I did enjoy basketball at the time until that got a bit shit, but that we won't talk about that. I loved makeup. I've always like loved makeup. I've loved developing my skills, and for a while I wasn't very good at it, but slowly and slowly like getting better and better. Yeah, I loved that, and I think it was an escape because I was just focusing on like my makeup, and it would take me out of it for a while, and then afterwards I'd feel really pretty and I'd feel better about myself. So it was this really positive thing that I had, and I will always think makeup is an extremely positive thing. I started forming better relationships with friends, more trustworthy people. I started going out and doing fun things and actually being included in events with my friends, and that clearly meant a lot to me. I started dyeing my hair, and for me that was another creative thing, and it meant that I didn't always have to look the same. I didn't always have to kind of be the same person. You don't always have to stick to your norms. And so obviously these were just kind of materialistic things that helped me. So it's all about finding what helps you. I love sharing with people. I always have, hence why I'm doing this. I've loved performing. I've loved singing. Singing I think has really helped. For me, I think when it's self-loathing, self-pity, like hating yourself, just like feeling crap about you, the thing that the key is it becomes a decision. Do you want to be sad or do you want to be happy? And if you want to be happy, you have to make a conscious effort to make yourself happy. When you're starting to feel shit, do something that makes you feel happy. Like it has to be consistently, because these feelings aren't just going to go away, because it affects your brain. It affects like the way you function. And I know there's a depression that can be a chemical imbalance. Mine wasn't a chemical imbalance. Obviously I brought on a chemical imbalance, hence the depression, but it was something that I could control. Whereas I know there are things that other people can't control when it comes to mental health, but I don't know a lot about that, so I won't talk about it too much. For me, it was a decision to be happy. And I hope you can't hear the shower. It's going to be really annoying if you can, but I'm going to keep talking. I just made a conscious effort because I knew I didn't want to feel like that. I knew my life was worth more than that. I knew I was a good enough person. I knew that, but I had to convince myself of that and train my brain to agree with those feelings. I knew I didn't have to feel that way. How I feel now is that my anxiety, as I've sort of mentioned, is still there. And that's something I kind of have to be honest about. Like, it is still there, and I don't like it at all. I wish I could get rid of it, but it's kind of PTSD in a way, I guess. This anxiety is because of all of that, and I will learn to like get over it, and I will stop feeling this way, but I think it'll just kind of take a few more years for me to grow out of it. But in terms of how like I feel about the depression and everything, I'm actually really grateful that I went through that, and I would not want anyone to go through the kind of hurt and the kind of horribleness that I went through. I would never wish that upon anybody. In terms of like my life, it's shaped me to be me. Like, I know that I wouldn't be this person right now if I hadn't have gone through that shit. I wouldn't have a lot of the characteristic traits that people love about me if I hadn't have gone through that. For you to get over that, you have a like reflection period, and so I reflected on those feelings, and I'm glad that I went through that, because also now I'm able to talk about it so freely, and a lot of people can't, which leads me on to the fact, like, in terms of like addressing you guys personally, for the people who know me, I'm literally always there, and I'm more than happy to talk about you and try and understand any situation that you all are in. I won't be judgmental. That's one thing I hate about the world. I try my hardest to be 100% unjudgmental. Like, I hate people who judge, and yeah, I try my best to not judge people at all. But with that being said, the people who don't know me, there are people who love you and who are willing to help. You just have to, as hard as it may be, you need to trust people. You need to find someone who you can confide in, because talking about it is the best medicine. Honestly, it's the best medicine. Even if it's just only talking about a little bit, you feel like you've got this weight off your chest and you feel refreshed, I guess is the word. And you don't have to feel like you're carrying the whole burden on your own, because I can assure you there are people who don't want you to be experiencing that on your own. We're in this world together. There are like billions of people on this planet. You're not alone. And with that being said, there are billions of people on this planet, that each one of them makes up society. Like, everyone is important. I've learnt my worth through this process. This is just what has, you know, I've been through, and I think if we all can like share our stories, and even if it just relates to one person who sees this video, that's enough for me. I wanted to share like my mental health journey because I think it's so important to, well, not only like me, my life, but also this channel and building trust within the world. I'm gonna link below some of the sites. Like there was this one place, I think it's called Headspace or Headspace or something. I would talk to them and they were fantastic. I'm gonna put the links below, but they were just great. Please check out the description box below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed listening to my story. It means a lot for me to be sharing this with you, and obviously it's quite serious, but yeah, I just wanted to share it, and I wanted to hopefully be able to relate to some of you, or even just inform you of how people may be feeling without you even seeing. I'm sure there'll be people who watch this video who had no idea that I had gone through like such traumatic mental health issues. So I guess that just says don't judge a book by its cover. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next Sunday. Mwah. Bye.